Hey guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to the showcase episode of my Diorama challenge. I basically provided this map with this roller coaster, a launched B&M wing coaster, and all you had to do was basically theme the map or do a design as a diorama, and the only rule there was that you could not change the layout of this ride. That being said, it was quite a challenge. The map was quite large, so I understand that it was quite overwhelming for some people. At the end of the video, I have a new diorama challenge on a much smaller map. I'm also going to show the winner of the competition, and I'm also going to show you what I came up with this coaster. So stay tuned. Let's get straight into the entries. So first up, we have an entry sent in by a user called Pennsylvania Fats. He actually went down the theme park route and actually turned this entire map into a whole park, and he called it Cryptic Cove. So he said that he divided the map up into some areas. So we have a disadvantaged carnival over here. Then over on the other side there, we have an avalanche blizzard sort of theme. Then over in the top left corner, we have a swamp theme. I'm going to put links to all these parks down below in the description box so you can go and download these as well and explore them for yourselves. I'm just going to show you some of the details, my favorite details in each one, so that this video isn't too long. So he named the coaster the Mothman Prophecy, and he built this really cool steel bridge. And there's like a moth here made out of shapes as well, which I really think is cool. And the coaster actually launches out of that bridge, which I think is a nice little theming touch there. This building over here is actually really nice. I really like it. It's really simple, but actually really effective. And he made a really cool custom sign saying Bigfoot for the wooden coaster. This building up in the corner hides the depot. It's actually one of my favorite buildings in the park. I wish that there was kind of more of this throughout the rest of the park. But my favorite part of this whole thing is this kind of rock waterfall area where there's a really nice interaction with the coaster as it comes through the rocks, creates like a near miss element, and it goes over the top of the water there. So I think that's a really nice little detail that I really like to see, and I really like that bit of this park. The only thing I will say is I feel like the wing coaster, which this was about, is kind of lost amongst all the other rides. But with that being said, I really appreciate your hard work and really thank you for sending that in to me. And so let's get on to the next one. Here we have a Lost in Space sent in by user Yeetus. This was inspired by the Netflix series Lost in Space. If you have seen the series, I'm sure there's things in this park that you're going to recognize. For me, I haven't seen the series personally. I saw maybe a little bit of the first episode, so I'm not that familiar with it. So again, go and download this and maybe you can explore it for yourself and see little things that maybe I miss. So the entrance is just here, and that leads you down a tunnel underground, which comes out over here at this kind of oasis sort of area, where actually you come through the waterfalls, which I think that's really nice. And then up here we have a Jupiter spacecraft, which I believe is the spacecraft they have in the series, which is on the water there. Some nice little details here in the queue line where there's some custom billboards with signs from the show and on the exit. He said to me that this is a ride that's indoors, so I have to actually ride the rider POV cam, which I'm not really a fan of doing because I think it's laggy and it doesn't really show off the game in a great perspective because it is an isometric game. But I'm going to do it anyway so you can see, because he did add some things in the inside. But as you can see there, he went for the indoor coaster idea. Didn't really do much with the map, but more of just with the coaster. So I'm in the rider view now. I'm not really sure about these rings as they cut through the train. But I'm just going to let you enjoy the ride here. There's some signs you can read along the way. And it will be laggy like now just because of this is a mod that you have to use to be able to ride the coaster. So I apologise for that, but enjoy the ride and I'll see you at the end of the journey. So there we go, that's the end of the ride. I'm just going in now into my favourite bit, which actually the block break run at the end. There's this really cool kind of room here with the red steam, and I really like this kind of exit showroom building. I think it's got some nice little details in there. And there's a sign there saying, now let's go back to the Jupiter. So that's Lost in Space by Yeetus. Again, the link down below in the description box. So here we have a map sent in by Dan Amberley on Reddit. He actually said that he was inspired by YouTube and Pocket players, Studio KV, AstroTron, Silverette, Force Rides, and myself. And I'm also inspired by the same people when playing this game, so it's really great that we all inspire each other with it in the same community. He's gone for a pirate theme here. He said it was inspired a little bit by the pirate cove that me and AstroTron built together as a part of my indoor park, Indoor Mania. There's some nice little touches throughout here, so I'm just going to show you some of my favourite bits again. Here we have this really cool bridge with the boat ride going underneath, which I think is quite a nice little interaction. And the launch of the coaster actually goes across the bridge and then into this nice rock tunnel where it comes out over here by this volcano. I can see that this volcano is maybe inspired by the one that AstroTron built in my park. And then we've got some nice fog in there. The coaster then goes into the Zero G roll and over to this other part of the park where there is this rapids ride. He said this rapids ride was inspired by Infinity Falls at SeaWorld, and I can see there's some really nice ideas in there. He said that the rapids doesn't function properly as you can only have 2 boats on there because he used Coaster Anarchy for the vertical lift, which is not normally a part of this ride. So I don't really know why there's only 2 boats. He asked me, I'm not sure. There's a nice interaction there as well with the wing coaster kind of circling above. And then over here we have a drop tower which is circled by the final helix of the ride. And down here on the waterfront we have one of my favourite parts of this park, and it's this really nice little building. It's some nice details. There's a nice little promenade risen up there in front of the building. Some nice little theming. There's barrels and crates there being pulled up on ropes into the building. That kind of stuff I really love. It's all the little details that I think really make some of these buildings and things really perfect. And then over here in the back corner we have a water coaster. He said he wanted to add just one more thrill attraction to the park, and he wasn't keen on this glass roof, he said, but I guess it's there so you can see in a little bit. But yeah, that's the water coaster. Then over here there's a backstage area, and now I'm just going to show you just finally a bit more of this nice, really cool kind of Arabian looking but pirate themed station building over here, and this nice lighthouse which he said was also inspired by AstroTron. But yeah, some really nice ideas in there, and thank you so much for sending it in to me and putting all the hard work into it that you have. So here we are on to another entry by MrUnit on Discord. This easily could have been the winner. It's one of my favorites. It's really, really great. Really cool ideas in here. He went for this kind of medieval steampunk kind of theme, and he built this huge dragon, and this is the biggest dragon I think I've ever seen, the biggest creature I've ever seen made in this game. It's completely made out of shapes, and so for that it is a little bit laggy because there's a lot of pieces in there, but it's really, really cool. He actually made the wings as well out of roof pieces, and yeah, it's really, really great. Some really nice ideas in this whole park, so I'm just going to get into them and show you some of my favorite bits. But yeah, first of all we have this huge dragon head, and the coaster actually launches right out of that dragon head, which I think resembles maybe the fire from the dragon, so it's a really cool little resemblance there. And then the coaster actually then goes off along the red track, which I think again resembles the fire, over to the destroyed part of this medieval village where I guess the fire from the dragon has burnt through all those buildings, so it's a nice storytelling there as well. And then yeah, the train actually then goes off and into some nice kind of scenic parts. There's some nice risen up areas here as well. I think it's really nice to have terrain levels within a park. Really adds to the dynamics of it. The train Zero G rolls over here over the waterfall and into this really cool kind of near miss structure. I'm just going to show you a better view of that now. And that leads you then over to this kind of rocky kind of corner where there's some foliage and things. I think that's quite a nice little interaction as well with the coaster. This building here, easily one of my favorite buildings in this park. It's a really cool roof there going over the buildings with a bridge. I really like that design, and there's some nice little roof details and touches added in there. There's this really cool clock tower where the dragon claw is actually gripping onto. Again, another really cool little touch. And another little thing that I really appreciate, which maybe some of you don't really realize, is there's this nice little rock here at the end which actually has wooden custom supports into it, which connect to the track. Which I think is really nice. I like seeing that kind of thing. I'm just going to zoom out now and show you the whole map, so it might lag a little bit, but I really appreciate this entire build. There's a lot of work put into this, and it's really, really great. Again, link down below in the description box, and thank you very much for sending that in to me. I really do appreciate it. Again, another park that easily could have won. Actually, it almost was the winner. It was really hard for me to decide. But this is Silver Valley, sent in by AstroTron on Discord and on Reddit and on YouTube. Go check him out. This park, really cool. Some really cool details within this whole thing. So I'm going to go into some little details and show you everything, my favorite bits as well. But he went for a full realized concept of doing this kind of valley, this mine valley. And definitely, I feel like it resembles like the Cars movie, like Radiator Springs from, also there's that themed land at Disney California's Adventure. Also reminds me of Six Flags Fiesta Texas with the kind of quarry walls, which is really cool. So I'm just going to go in now and show you some of the details. So here we have the station, which is the actual mine, and I think the coaster is called the Silver Mining Co. It's a really cool theming and some like tracks there and mine carts and lots of different little touches in there. You're not going to be able to see them all today, but if you do download it yourself, I do suggest like exploring this. The queue line as well, because it's got some theming along there. And then we've got the coaster firing out there. He did some custom catwalks, which resemble actually the real life wing coaster catwalks from B&M, so I appreciate that little detail. The coaster there circling up onto the quarry wall, where there's this really cool teepee tent area with this amazing totem pole, which is completely made out of different shapes. I think that is just like genius. Like, I love that kind of stuff in this game. Really using pieces in a different way. I think it's just really clever. So easily my favorite part of this build is this corner over here. There's this mine where the coaster goes into the rocks and comes out, creates this really cool interaction near this element here. And this whole rock face is just really amazing. He is so clever at doing rock work. I've seen this kind of style from him before, using this kind of rock stuff, especially with his Big Thunder Mountain creation. But it's really clever and it just looks really great. It doesn't even look like Parkitect, it looks like another game. This Dutch bridge here also I think is a really nice touch. Really amazing how that looks. Again, using different shapes and pieces. And again, also this steamboat. Reminds me of the one from Disneyland, and even the little boathouse is really cool as well. The only thing I will say is I do wish he kind of custom supported the entire coaster, just because there's so much detail in this map. I feel that would have just really added to it. But the whole thing is really amazing and the whole idea is just great. Even the flat rides in this park are completely themed to match the whole area. So I really appreciate your hard work, and you can download this on Steam. You can watch him build it on his YouTube channel. He's really a great builder and he really inspires me as well when I'm building stuff. So thank you very much for sending that in to me. So here we have the winner of this small little competition. The competition was only for fun and nothing serious. I just want to thank everyone for taking a part in this. But basically, this map doesn't really look like much when you look at it, but if you get in close, the details in this are just insane, and I really think it's great. So this was sent in to me by MaxFreak. Some of you may know him from YouTube, Discord, and Reddit, and also he made the custom foliage set, MaxFreak's Foliage Essentials, which I think is really amazing. So this whole map is a seaside kind of scene going on. The coaster launches out from the boat bay and goes out to sea over to this island and back. He completely custom supported the entire coaster, and he said to me this was the first time that he'd ever custom supported, and actually it's great. He said don't go hard on me, but he did an amazing job with the supports. I know how kind of fiddly the supports can be to do and how much time they take, and so I really appreciate the support work. The colours of the coaster as well, it starts off dark and gets lighter as it goes through, so I think that's also a really nice little thing. So over here we have a kind of fairground, like a transportable fairground, and he's dressed up all these things that are in the game in his own way. All these stalls here, which I think look really cool, and they look just like carnival ones. They have this kind of portable arcades bit, which is on the side of a truck, which I think is just really clever, really amazing. Even the jumper here, the flat ride, has its own custom middle bit going on, which I really think is cool as well. And the bumper cars over here, he's used pieces in this bumper cars that I never even would think of using in that way. I think this is a text feature from the DLC that he's just put in lots of those upward arrows in a line and just made that look great. And again, the carousel dressed up really, really well there. So that's really amazing. Some other little things here as well, like this little ice cream store, or I think it's a hot dog store or something, in a van with smoke coming out of the roof, really creating like an atmosphere there. Even the front of this seaside is really cool, the tires and the thing that you would tie the boat to. The seagull sitting up here as well, again, these little details. In the actual download on Steam, he said that there's lots of things that you can search for within the map. So you can actually go on a bit of a treasure hunt, I guess, which I think is a really nice idea as well. There's some really cool fisher boats here, which I think are just genius. There's lots of boats dotted throughout the whole thing. And don't be fooled by the sea, even that's themed. Like under the water, there is sea life, there's foliage, there's fish and octopuses and that kind of thing. So all these little things add up to the whole thing to really make this a really great diorama. My favorite part is actually this corner over here, where the coaster circles this kind of old castle or this place where tourists maybe go to, and there's a boat ride from the mainland over to this kind of island to go and see this area. And I think the building there it's been done really well. I really love it. In the boathouse as well, really well done. Yeah, I really love this build. Thank you so much for sending it in to me. Again, I haven't shown you every single detail within this, but go and check it out, go download it, and just go and explore it, you'll love it. So thank you so much for sending it in to me. So, on to the last part of the episode. So here we have my version. I'm not a part of the competition, but I wanted to also join in and basically do what I would have done with this. The map was really big, and that's what kind of made it a challenge. So dividing it up, I think, was a really clever way to do it, and a lot of you did that by adding water and having some parts as rock and some parts as foliage, and I did the same thing. I went for like a kind of a diorama where this is a part of a bigger theme park, so you have to imagine there is more of a theme park around it. But this was really inspired by Alpengeist at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. That is like an alpine theme to a runaway ski lift. I wanted to do something similar but not the same, so I went for like a Swiss Yeti mythological creature kind of idea. And I will go into daytime just in a second, but I wanted to add some kind of alpine snowy theming around, but I didn't want the whole map to be alpine. I wanted it to be like the coaster is themed within a normal environment setting. So that being said, let's go into daytime and I'll show you some of the details. So the coaster is called Gabagazzi, which I believe is the name of a Swiss Yeti. I looked it up on Google, so I might be wrong. I did this really cool alpine building as the station, and I did all this snow gathered up on the roof, and the tile idea is actually from AstroTron. I did a custom sign there, and we have a standard queue and a fast pass queue because I like my realism details. So going in, the queue splits into two, and obviously the fast pass one is a bit shorter. I added in these huge footprints in the floor as well along the queue line, just as some theming. And then at the back of the queue line, there's some pictures of Yetis and there's an avalanche warning sign. And then that's where you enter into the station at the back. So I too went online to research what the catwalks on a launch B&M wing coaster look like, and this is what they look like. So I tried to copy them as best as I could, added in these little boxes for the magnets, for the electronics, and added cables. I too custom supported the entire coaster, added some rock theming, some near misses, and I wanted the coaster to really dive into those kind of snowy trenches. The first part of this build I actually did was this turnaround area on the side of the cliff. I wanted to do the rocks and actually have the coaster go up onto the rocks, and actually quite a few of you did that as well. So it was a nice idea that we all had. I think it really creates a nice kind of interaction there with the coaster and the rock face. Over here, out in the woods, I have this like old abandoned alpine cabin where the train actually dives right into the fog and out the other side. So I just wanted to add a little something along the way of the coaster. Some of these bigger coasters in real life have some theming, but not throughout the entire track. So I've kind of gone with that. Like the back of the coasters hasn't got as much theming. And then the final twist at the end goes through this kind of tower, which was inspired by the ones that I've seen in Austria on the snowy mountains. So I just wanted to add that in there just as a final near miss element. Got a staff car park there, which leads over to the transfer track area, so there could be maintenance done. I put a train there on the storage track. I built an alpine restaurant here as well with a seating area, which I think was a nice little touch as well, with this pendulum ride called Avalanche. Not a very original name, but yeah, it's just got some snow and some crates on there. Made a little roof on top of it just to make it look a little bit more like it had a theme. And then I added a ride in for the families as well, which is Snowstorm, this twister over here. And tried to just kind of blend it in a little bit into this kind of, I did like a horseshoe kind of shape with the pathing. to create like a sort of diorama scene. But yeah, that's my design. Tell me what your favorite one has been today. Let me know down below in the comments. And so on to the next diorama competition. Here is a B&M dive coaster. This is a much smaller map. It's about 25 times 23 squares or something like that. So it's really small, so it's not got much space. So I'm really interested to see what you guys come up with. Basically the same as before, you have to design the map as a diorama, as a theme, do whatever you like with it. And the only rule being you cannot change the layout of this coaster. I've got a really cool idea for this one, something a bit out of my comfort zone. So I'm really interested to see how that turns out. But yeah, you are allowed to add the 6 across dive coaster trains if you wish, which are on the Steam Workshop. If not, it does have the standard floorless trains, so you can use those. So you can change the trains on it, but the coaster layout has to stay the same. But yeah, really interested to see how this one turns out. Again, this will be on Steam, Discord, and on Reddit. So be sure to check it out, download it, and join in. And I can't wait to see them. And I'll see you all next time for another episode here on my channel. Bye!